Vince Gill's final letter just hit the internet, and fans are absolutely shattered. The words he wrote reveal a side of Vince no one was ready to see, pulling back the curtain on years of hidden pain and quiet struggles. This letter isn't just a goodbye. It's a raw, emotional message that will leave you in tears and questioning what truly matters. If you've ever loved Vince's music, you need to hear what he had to say before it's too late. No one was ready for the letter Vince Gill released. Fans who had followed him for decades were shocked as they read his calm but heavy words. This wasn't a flashy goodbye or a loud retirement post. It felt like a soft, personal whisper that still carried the weight of finality. Vince didn't use big, dramatic words, but every sentence felt like a closing chapter, leaving people asking why it felt so final. Why now? Why in this quiet way? Vince has always been known for his kindness and honesty, and his letter was just that, honest. It wasn't a message about chart success or awards. It was a reflection, a look back at a life spent giving himself to music and to his fans. He talked about gratitude, about the love he felt from people who came to his shows, who wrote him letters, who played his songs during the best and worst moments of their lives. It was clear that every fan meant something to him, and this letter was his way of saying thank you. But under the calm words, fans could feel something deeper. It felt like Vince was saying goodbye in his own quiet way, choosing to leave the stage with grace rather than drama. It made people wonder if there was more behind the letter. Was there a hidden health issue, or was he simply ready to step away from the spotlight after years of giving everything to his music? Social media filled with emotional reactions, with fans sharing memories of Vince's concerts, his songs that became their comfort, and the moments his voice helped them get through hard days. Everyone could feel that this letter was different. It was more than just a note from an artist. It was a gentle, heartfelt message from a man who had touched so many lives. It reminded everyone why Vince Gill was special, not just because of his talent, but because of the quiet honesty he brought to everything he did. Vince Gill's journey didn't start under bright lights or on big stages. It began quietly in Norman, Oklahoma, where he was born in 1957. Even as a young boy, Vince felt a deep connection to music. He would sing around the house, pick up instruments and lose himself in melodies, while other kids were outside playing games. His love for music wasn't just a hobby. It was like a calling that grew stronger as he got older. In the 1970s, Vince began performing with local bluegrass bands in Oklahoma. Bluegrass was a genre that demanded skill, heart, and real passion, and Vince fit perfectly into it. He joined a band called Mountain Smoke, where he played, sang, and learned what it meant to perform live. These early years shaped him, teaching him discipline while letting him experience the simple joy of making music that touched people. In 1979, Vince made a bold move by joining the country rock band Pure Prairie League as their lead vocalist and guitarist. This was a big step for him, taking him from local stages to bigger audiences and the world of touring. Their hit, Let Me Love You Tonight, gave Vince his first taste of national recognition, and he proved that he could bring warmth and sincerity to every song he touched. This period gave him the confidence to believe he could reach more people while staying true to his love for music. But Vince's true dream was to share his own stories through his songs, not just sing others' words. In 1983, he took another big risk by leaving Pure Prairie League to pursue a solo career in Nashville, the heart of country music. The move wasn't easy. Nashville was filled with talent, and breaking through was tough. His first albums didn't bring instant fame, but Vince didn't give up. He focused on creating songs that felt honest and real, refusing to follow trends for quick success. In 1989, everything changed for Vince with the release of When I Call Your Name. This song was a turning point, capturing the raw feeling of heartbreak with his tender vocals and storytelling. It connected with people instantly and earned him a Grammy, marking his arrival as one of country music's leading voices. Fans didn't just hear his voice, they felt it. Each note and lyric seemed to carry the weight of real-life stories, and people related to it deeply. The 1990s became Vince's golden era. Albums like Pocketful of Gold and I Still Believe in You showed his ability to share songs about love, loss, hope, and regret in a way that felt deeply personal. Vince didn't use flashy tricks to get attention. His music was about truth, honesty, and connection. Songs like Look at Us became wedding anthems and comforted people at funerals. His voice became a comforting presence in many lives, bringing peace during hard times. Even as his fame grew, Vince remained grounded. He never let the bright lights change who he was inside. People in the industry often spoke about his kindness, humility, and the calm energy he brought wherever he went. Unlike many who changed themselves to stay popular, Vince stayed true to who he was, building a legacy based on authenticity. Vince wasn't just a singer, he was also an incredible guitarist, playing lead guitar on many of his recordings, which was rare among country singers. His guitar playing added an extra layer of emotion to his music, whether it was a soft acoustic melody or a powerful electric solo. Fans and fellow musicians admired not only his singing but also his musical skills, which made him stand out as a complete artist. As he became more successful, Vince also became a mentor to younger artists. Many up-and-coming musicians looked to him for guidance, not just because of his talent, but because of the way he carried himself. He often performed at benefit concerts, award shows, and collaborative projects, always offering his support to others in the music community. Vince's music never stayed stuck in one box. While the industry became more commercial, Vince explored different sounds, bringing elements of gospel, bluegrass, and rock into his work. He proved that country music could grow while still holding on to its heart. His willingness to try new things without losing his authentic style made him even more respected. By the late 1990s, Vince had earned more than awards and record sales. He had earned love and respect. Fans felt like they knew him because of the honesty in his songs. They saw their own stories in his music, and that connection was something rare. His journey showed that staying true to yourself, even when it's hard, is worth it. Vince's career was never about chasing fame. It was about creating songs that mattered and sharing pieces of his heart with the world. His journey is a reminder that true artistry doesn't come from trends or chasing numbers. It comes from honesty, consistency, and a love for the craft. Every song Vince Gill released felt like a conversation, a comforting voice that made people feel seen and understood. Even as new trends in country music emerged, Vince remained a symbol of what the genre could be at its best: emotional, authentic, and timeless. He showed that music is not just about entertainment, but about connection and healing. His story isn't just about success, it's about the power of staying true to yourself, letting your heart lead your path, and creating art that leads a legacy of kindness and honesty. Vince Gill was never the loudest voice in country music, but he was always one of the most respected. He didn't chase headlines or controversy, but he also didn't stay silent when it came to protecting the heart of country music. While many artists worried about staying popular or fitting into the latest trends, Vince cared about something deeper: keeping the honesty and soul of country music alive, even when it wasn't easy. Over the years, country music changed a lot. New sounds came in, trends rose and fell, and the industry often leaned toward whatever would get the most streams or sell the most tickets. Bro country became popular with songs about trucks, parties, and surface-level stories. Vince didn't hate these songs, but he worried about what was being lost in the rush for quick hits. He believed that country music should be about stories that mattered, songs that made people feel something, and lyrics that captured real life. Vince never wanted to sound bitter about younger artists or new trends. He loved seeing young talent rise, and he often took time to mentor new artists, giving them advice without making them feel small. But he was honest about what he saw happening in the industry. He would quietly share that he felt songs were losing their heart, and that people were forgetting why country music mattered in the first place. It wasn't just entertainment, it was about sharing stories of love, pain, faith, and hope. He talked about how country music had always been about telling the truth, even when it was hard. Songs were meant to help people feel less alone in their struggles. Vince wanted the industry to remember that, to make room for songs that went deeper than the surface. He didn't believe that country music had to stay stuck in the past, but he did believe it should keep its soul while growing. When Vince spoke up, he did it with grace. He wasn't attacking people, but he was reminding them of their responsibility as artists. He wanted them to think about the songs they put into the world and the message they were sharing. For Vince, it was never about fame. It was about the power of music to heal and to connect people. Vince also didn't shy away from talking about the politics behind the scenes in the music industry. He spoke honestly about how favoritism, radio play politics, and industry gatekeeping made it hard for some artists to get a fair chance. He saw talented artists being overlooked because they didn't fit a certain image, didn't have the right connections, or didn't follow the trends that labels wanted. Vince didn't think this was fair, and he wanted to see an industry where real talent and meaningful music could shine, no matter who you were or how you looked. His honesty made some people uncomfortable, but Vince didn't mind. He wasn't afraid of losing favor with industry insiders because he cared more about the music and the people who listened to it. He wasn't looking for drama, he just wanted to see a fairer, kinder, and more honest industry. Vince believed in lifting others up and making space for different voices in country music. He also made it clear that standing for integrity didn't mean rejecting change. Vince supported artists who brought new sounds and fresh ideas into country music, as long as it was done with heart. He often reminded people that the genre had always evolved, from the early days of Hank Williams to the modern era. What mattered was that the stories remained honest, and that artists respected the connection they were creating with listeners. Throughout his career, Vince Gill led by example. He didn't just talk about integrity, he lived it. He wrote songs that came from his heart, and he refused to compromise on the quality of his music, even when it would have been easier to follow a formula. He chose songs that spoke about real love, heartbreak, faith, and the human experience, knowing that these songs would last longer than any trend. Other artists noticed this about Vince, and many came to him for advice. He would sit with young musicians, listening to their dreams and offering encouragement without ego. He didn't see himself as above anyone else, even though he had won awards and achieved great success. He just saw himself as someone who loved music and wanted to protect it for the next generation. Fans loved Vince for this honesty. They felt they could trust him, not just because of his talent, but because of the way he carried himself. He was consistent, whether he was performing on a big stage, sitting in a studio, or speaking at a small event. People knew that when Vince spoke about country music, it came from a place of deep love and respect. Even when country music leaned toward pop influences or flashy sounds, Vince didn't panic. He knew that music would change, but he wanted artists to remember the responsibility they had to the people listening. He wanted them to remember that a good song could change someone's day, help them through grief, or give them hope. That was the real power of music, and Vince never lost sight of that. As he got older, Vince didn't slow down creatively, but he became even more intentional about the projects he chose. He wanted to collaborate with people who shared his values, who cared about making music that mattered. He didn't want to waste time chasing trends or proving himself. He knew who he was, and he wanted to spend his time creating things that would last. In interviews, Vince often said that standing for integrity wasn't about being perfect. It was about showing up with honesty and giving your best, even when it was hard. He shared that he had made mistakes, that he had moments when he felt lost, but he always came back to the music and the people it served. Vince Gill's commitment to integrity in country music is part of why he is so loved. It's why his songs still move people, and why his legacy will last. He reminded everyone that the real purpose of music is to connect us, to comfort us, and to remind us that we are not alone in what we feel. When Vince decided to step back and share his farewell letter, it wasn't about giving up on music or on the values he held dear. It was about protecting those values and honoring the journey he had taken. He wanted to remind people that standing for integrity is worth it, even when it's not the easiest path. Vince Gill's life in country music wasn't just about the awards or the hits. It was about living honestly, creating meaningful songs, and standing up for what mattered, even when it meant going against the grain. His story is a reminder that in a world chasing fast success, integrity and heart will always matter most. Vince Gill's farewell to his fans wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, heartfelt, and filled with the same sincerity that defined his entire life and career. It came in the form of a letter, one that wasn't announced with flashing lights or big press events. Instead, it was a gentle message that felt like Vince was sitting across from you, guitar in hand, speaking directly to your heart. His farewell wasn't about stepping away from music completely, but about letting go of the pace and expectations that came with decades in the spotlight. In the letter, Vince didn't boast about his achievements or list the awards he had won. He didn't remind people of his hits or his place in country music history. Instead, he shared gratitude, reflecting on the years of singing on stages big and small, the letters he received from fans, and the moments he shared with people who found comfort and joy in his songs. He thanked people for standing by him during the highs and the lows, for showing up to his concerts, for playing his songs at weddings and funerals, and for letting his music become part of their lives. Vince shared how much the connection with his fans meant to him. It wasn't about fame for him. It was about the human moments, the letters people wrote him, saying his songs helped them through heartbreak, loss, or even moments of joy. Those stories stayed with him, reminding him why he sang in the first place. Music wasn't just a job for Vince, it was a calling. A way to give hope and share truth in a world that often felt heavy. He also spoke honestly about the weight that came with a public life. Vince never sought the spotlight, but it came with the music, and over the years it became harder to carry. The travel, the schedules, and the constant need to be on took a toll. In his letter, Vince admitted he needed to step back, not because he was done with music, but because he needed to protect his peace and spend time with his family and himself, without the demands that came with a busy career. There was no bitterness in Vince's farewell, only grace. He didn't blame anyone or speak about regrets with anger. Instead, he reflected on moments he wished he could have been more present, on times he felt tired but kept going because he didn't want to let people down. He spoke of how he learned the importance of rest, and how stepping back wasn't quitting, it was an act of honoring the life he had built and the people he loved. Vince mentioned Amy Grant, his wife, and how much her love and faith had meant to him during his journey. He shared that their relationship wasn't always easy under public scrutiny, but it taught him about forgiveness, patience, and unconditional love. Amy stood by him during tough times, and he wanted to be there for her too. Without the constant pull of touring and public demands, he also acknowledged the mistakes he made, the moments he could have handled better, and the times he stayed silent when he should have spoken up. Vince never claimed to be perfect, and that humility was what made his farewell even more moving. He wanted his fans to know that he was grateful for their forgiveness and patience, that he valued the grace they showed him through the years. The letter was also a call for people to find their own peace. Vince encouraged his fans to embrace change, to take time for what truly matters, and to let go of fear when it's time to take a new step. He reminded them that life isn't about the applause, but about the quiet moments with family, the mornings spent in prayer, and the small victories that often go unnoticed. He spoke about his faith, sharing that it was faith that kept him going during hard times, and it was faith that helped him understand when it was time to slow down. Vince didn't push his beliefs onto anyone, but gently shared that grace and faith were what allowed him to live with hope, even when the world felt heavy. In his farewell, Vince also spoke about the future. He wasn't saying goodbye to music forever, but he was stepping away from the pressure to keep producing, touring, and constantly being in the public eye. He promised that he would still create music when it felt right, but he would do it from a place of peace, not pressure. He encouraged his fans to keep the music alive by listening, sharing, and letting the songs continue to bring comfort and joy. Vince's farewell was deeply personal, but it felt like it belonged to everyone who read it. Fans saw themselves in his words, remembering the times his music helped them through heartbreak or gave them hope during struggles. His songs were often played during life's most meaningful moments, and his voice became a comforting presence in many households. After the letter was shared, fans responded with letters, comments, and messages of gratitude. People thanked him for the years of honesty, for staying true to himself, and for sharing his heart through music. Fellow artists spoke about the impact Vince had on their lives, not just through his music but through his kindness and humility. Amy Grant also shared her thoughts, expressing how much the letter meant to Vince and how it was his way of stepping into a new chapter without regret. She spoke about the importance of slowing down and living intentionally, and how they both looked forward to spending more quiet moments together. Vince's farewell wasn't about an ending, but about honoring the journey he had taken. It was about recognizing that it's okay to let go of something when it's time, to honor the past while embracing the future with hope. He left a message of love, grace, and peace, reminding people that the most important things in life aren't the loudest, but the quiet moments that often go unnoticed. In the end, Vince Gill's farewell showed what true grace looks like. It was honest, heartfelt, and deeply human. It was a reminder that you can step back without losing who you are, that you can honor your journey without bitterness, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to pause and take care of yourself. Fans will always remember Vince Gill not just as a talented musician, but as a man of integrity who sang with honesty and lived with grace. His farewell was a lesson in how to leave with gratitude, how to honor your journey, and how to let your life continue to inspire others, even when the stage lights dim.